Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTubers. This is Jerry Diamond with How to Get Out of Babylon. Then I could say, as Pastor Joe Fox says, this is Pastor Jerry Diamond with How to Get Out of Babylon. And is he credentialed? No, he was military. Did he go to Bible college? He might have, but oftentimes your true servants are just called directly by Yah. And there have been increasing confirmations of what I'm doing over the years. And when I say increasing, I'm saying multiplying. So anyway, this is going to be a video on protecting and preparing the homestead. So I'm going to sit here for a while because it's getting hot and I'm already feeling it and pushing the limits. So that tub that you see there in the center probably weighed 250 pounds. It was full of sawdust for whatever reason. And, you know, it's be good for, rotting sawdust is good for compost toilets, okay? But it was full of water. So if you, and just a little note here, when you're watching a video on YouTube and you miss something or you can't quite see something, you can hit pause and pause a moving video 8 times a second, 8 times in the space of a second to get a clear, still shot when the camera just doesn't happen to be moving. So if I was going like this, you could freeze it. Or if that box was running around in circles, you could freeze it. Or if a sign was, you know, you catch a sign, I've done that 100 times. I want to read what that sign says. Just hit pause until you get a clear picture and then screenshot it. You can blow it up. So like if you screenshot that, you'll see that there's holes I popped in it. I was trying to aim for about 4 inches down to let the water drain out. But, and the tub's already UV deteriorating, it cracked, you know, it's just, what I was thinking of doing, the reason I was doing that was to make it into a composting manure worm farm bin, and it could still be used for that for a while, but it eventually is just going to go to pieces. But you could line the bottom 4 inches with rocks and stuff, and that'll hold water. Worms have to have water. Manure worms have 4 enemies: too much water, too little water, too much heat, and too much cold. 70 degrees is optimal. So, but what I did was after I popped the holes in it, I used those two, that piece of oak branch and that 2x4 as levers, in layman's terms, lever and fulcrum, and that air conditioning casing as the block, the fulcrum. And even with that, I had to use both of them. It took me about 10 tries to get it up a little bit, get one under it, get the other one up, get it up a little more, the other one, and finally turn it over. And then I had to walk on the far side and pull it over. I could have went and got a rake, but hey, I could do it by hand, so I did it. So, rotting sawdust, good. Tubs of it around, not good. I'm going to swing around slowly. 100-pound propane tanks, awesome. Get one. Okay. I sit here a lot, and a note to everyone. This property happened to have some nice, whatever you call them, wrought iron chairs. They'll last virtually forever. They've got a good coating on them. Most of them had a lot of green, you know, what do you call it, algae type stuff on them. Trigger spray bottle with vinegar in it. Cleans them off. I didn't even wipe them down much. Just cleaned it off, so that's cool. Protecting and defending the homestead. That bottle, spray bottle there, is loaded with just spring water, and that's my protection against heat. My portable shower, I basically keep it with me everywhere I go. If I get hot, I'll be sitting here and I can mist myself down, and right as I'm speaking, you can see the leaves blowing there a little bit. I'll catch it a better one. There will come a breeze through here, and it just feels wonderful, especially if you're misted down with nice spray of spring water. That bottle over there that you see is loaded with Dawn. That's my protection against flying bugs. I was being bothered by a horsefly earlier. You set it on mist and you just shoot it out in the air toward it and they go away. Wasps hate the stuff. Wasps will fly about 200-300 feet away from it when you mist them out. And if they come back, you can put it on jet and shoot them out of the air. And they jump like a rock. The chair I'm sitting on, normally I have over there, but oh no. This chair I normally have over there. It's one of my chairs where I sit on, and that chair I sit on a lot. Actually, that's pretty much storage right now. The point I'm making is that I'm going to deal with another topic, and that is all that wood over there. I finally started burning that 2 nights ago, and it just needs to go away. Most of it is not firewood. It's rotting. It's punky. It's lighter than, about as light as balsa wood, a lot of it. However, that pile over there, and I've showed you before, I'm going to stand up. Let's see if you can see it. Yeah. There's the wood frame over there, which was going to be a woodshed, which can be a woodshed and shower house, bathroom, probably what I think would be advisable for it. But in front of it is a stack of wood there. Half of that stack I've already moved away and just threw it out in the grass. Some of it is good firewood. So my plan is, I've been sitting here, and one time I had a former friend, later friend turned enemy. And yes, I'm going to cover a few different topics here, so while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to cover that topic. For quite a while, I was phrased it thusly that what I'm seeing sheep turning into goats. This former friend became an enemy, threatened to kill me like 3 times, and once with a .44 Magnum, and once with his fist. Anyway, but when I was first on our farm that we bought, 10-acre farm, bought it, paid for it in less than a year, family farm, built an altar on it, got it, different topics for different videos, but I've covered it before, so I won't cover it here. But he sat, and we had a load of wood coming over, usable as firewood, and we were heating with wood at the time. And I said, where do you think we should dump it? And he goes, I sits and I thinks. So I deliberately came over to this chair. You should be able to see that I'm pointing down to that chair. The chair I'm sitting on is on a pallet. And one of my subscribers mentioned that. She said, we used to put chairs up on pallets to keep away from ticks and chiggers. So I think I've pretty well handled the tick and chigger problem. Those flecks are sulfur. They're pellets, they're compressed pellets. They say it's water degradable. Definitely is not water dissolvable. They don't dissolve in water. They're going to sit here for months. But they theoretically keep snakes and bugs and stuff away. And I can sit out here now, where before I was just getting eaten up with especially chiggers, which you can't see. Indians call them no-see-ums. You can see them with your naked eye, because I have. They're little red, tiny, tiny crawling dots that you maybe have to have a magnifying glass to see. Okay, so swinging around to here, and I have a powder. I have 50 pounds of fine sulfur powder, and I have a duster that I'm hoping that the sister whose property this is going to be able to stop by and get it. I forgot it in my last trip over to another Homestead farm, whatever. Not really a farmer refuge, but anyway, underneath that tarp there is another tub of sawdust. Well, sadly enough, that tub of sawdust had a good lid. It's in a good tub. It had a good lid on it, and the lid was on it. Great, wonderful. Everybody needs 300 pounds of sawdust laying around. Well, in another tub, in a cracked tub with duct tape on it, and with the lid that was not a good lid, it had cracks in it and duct tape on it. and it wasn't on correctly. It was 90 degrees out, so it was like crossways perpendicular to the tub, not on the tub. And the tarp leaked. And so in that tub was a 50-pound, pristine, brand new, good bag of salt. Tub's full of 200 pounds of water. It didn't do the salt any good. So if the salt has lost its savor, it's good for nothing but to be cast out under the feet of man. Well, salt is good for in any form, and whatever kind of salt. It's crunchy, and it sticks, and it gives you a good footing in slimy, slippery ramps, wheelchair-type ramps, handicap ramps, and also in ice. So you can use salt for other things other than for your food. You can make sole with it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so as I sit here and I think, I'm looking at the dictum or the idea that I've said before, that put your wood perpendicular to the house so that there's not a hiding place. You can have good visibility from the house toward it. Well, there's no windows on this side of the house that would be looking between this tree in the center and that tree. And it's perpendicular to the house. And I can go either come this side of it or the other side of it. I don't have to walk through it. So that's where I'm going to stack the good long pieces. And I hope when the guys cut that firewood that's about 3 feet in length that it'll actually fit in the stove that's in the cabin. I don't know yet. I haven't checked that. If it isn't, that's going to be a real ridiculously stupid waste of time to cut it shorter. Probably just dice them in half then at that point, because it'll make them easier to handle. Probably what I would do. So, another fact is that tree in the center there would be a good point. You need 3 trees for my firewood splitting operation that I'm going to do someday. And those 3 trees, the 2 smaller ones on the left, will be good for the pivot point. If I've covered that before in a video, look up the spring-loaded automobile coil spring firewood splitters, and then just instead of a spring for counterweight and balance and pushing your thing back up, you could use bungee cords. You could use a barrel of water. You could use a barrel with rocks in it, whatever. Just something so it weighs about the same amount as your head when it's counterbalanced. So rope, cable, rod, whatever, an axle between those 2 smaller trees would give you a pivot point. Pivot point in power. Your power is your head, or your power is the force of the head slamming down, your splitting maul slamming down. So it would be right there and able to split wood there, so right by the house. So that would be that's where I want the splitting operation. So I don't want it between those 2 trees. But these 2 trees would be ideal. You can stack a lot of wood there. As I've said before, in Missouri and Arkansas, stack your wood, single stacks between trees, T-post, put T-post up if you have to, but don't go to double stacking, double thickness stacks. Cordwood is typically 3 stacks of firewood, 4 foot high, 8 feet long, 4 feet wide. That's a cord. Well, if you stack 3 up in Missouri or Arkansas, you're going to be dealing with the fact that you've just built a copperhead habitat, copperhead hotel. So I have found one snake here, which was a ringneck snake. It's a nice snake, a little skinny snake, but recently found my first snake. Looked like a rattler to me. I haven't identified it yet. I'll show you, screenshots of it, photos of it in another video. It was short, very thick-bodied. The head was not configured like a poisonous snake, but the body was, so I dispatched it, shall we say, and took pictures of it. I could not, it was so small, the head was so small that I could not identify that it had pits. What I'm talking about is little radar indents. A poisonous snake, generally pit vipers, are called pit vipers because they have nostrils. They have a mouth and they have nostrils, 2 slits for the nostrils. But then they have little, 2 little, basically radar dishes, like satellite dishes, between their eyes and their nostrils. And those are infrared sensors. Okay, so what happened? I think I just went off. Oh, come on.